obsessed with Lisa Barlow is the only religion that I need. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am RHOSLC and I am here to review Season 4, Episode 13 of The Real Housewives Fighting for Lisa Barlow's Love of Salt Lake City. So we start the episode off with everyone getting ready for their first international trip on the show. And this is history in the making. We have never seen this happen before. It took 15 seasons and somebody to go to jail for this to finally happen on the show. But you know, better late than never, right? So we see Monica, she's dyeing her mustache. Meredith, she's getting ignored by her son Brooks. Angie K, she's playing with her dog instead of playing with her husband. And then we head over to Whitney's house. She's packing up for her trip. She's getting her luggage together. And I saw her sneak Heather's book, Bad Mormon, into her luggage. And Whitney, you could have left that at home with Justin. You don't need that type of energy on the trip. And this is where the competition to be Lisa's best friend on the show starts, because she calls in Justin. She tells him,
Justin, you know, after everything that happened with my friend and her passing, I just thought that Lisa Barlow would be there for me, but she wasn't. Instead, she gave a gift to Heather and not me. And I've always been there for her, and it's not fair that she's there for Heather.
And I'm like, okay, you know, understandable, but, you know, it gets worse as this episode goes on, right? So eventually we see everybody meeting up at the airport, and I'm like, oh my God, this is really happening, right? Like, they're really going on their first international trip to Bermuda. And just between me and you know, I'm not good with geography at all whatsoever. I didn't know Bermuda was an actual place. I thought Bermuda was just the Bermuda Triangle where things go missing and planes go missing and you're not supposed to fly above it or something like that, allegedly. They arrive in Bermuda and they have a Sprinter van waiting for them. And you already know that Salt Lake City housewives and Sprinter vans, they never mix well. And on top of that, they have a new driver by the name of Jonathan. Jonathan, if I was you, I would buckle up my seatbelt and fasten it because you're in for a ride with them. So they get on their way to the destination, and Meredith, she starts shivering. She starts telling everybody, can we please put the heater up because I am cold, I am freezing. And, you know, from the looks of the scenery, it doesn't look like it's cold outside. It looks sunny, it looks beautiful. Everybody else seems to be fine. She's the only one with the issue. Whitney then kind of exposes her by saying, well, I mean, we all took a sleeping pill on the plane, but Meredith, she accidentally took 2 pills. And then I'm looking at what Meredith is drinking. She's drinking coffee and champagne. And I just don't think that you should be mixing all 3 of those things together. And maybe that's why she's shivering. She's like, excuse me, driver Jonathan, can you please put the heater on? I am freezing back here. And Heather's just like, Jonathan, just ignore her. So eventually they get to the house, or the mansion actually, because we get to this beautiful, huge mansion. I mean, the house is huge. It was literally like this big. They get there and honestly, just between me and you, I almost shed like a couple of tears because I'm like, wow, Jen Shah, like you really stopped this show from going on an international trip for 4 years. And now we finally get this payoff, like this huge house, this huge mansion. Monica, she shades herself by saying, oh yeah, this house, you know, it could fit like 700 versions of my house. I'm looking at it like, oh, you know, compared to your house, it's more like 1,000, but okay. We'll round it down to 700. And I'm just looking at this huge house like, this is the Real Housewives. This is an actual trip. This is money. This is luxury. This is what I want to see. They don't have to compete for the best room because every room is the best, except every room has a bathtub but one. And who ends up with that one room? Ironically, the queen of bathtubs herself, Meredith. But Meredith did it to herself, though, because she sees everybody running around the house looking for a room, and she's the only one just sitting back like, no, I'm not running around looking for a room. I'm not doing that. That's obnoxious. Okay, Meredith, but I don't want to hear any complaining later on. Surprise, surprise, we're gonna hear complaining later on. So everybody's in the kitchen, they're getting food in this buffet style. Meredith, she comes in and she tells everybody that she's still not feeling well. She's gonna go get some rest in her room. That's that. Then we see Heather and Lisa, they decide to go eat outside together. We see Angie K's also on this trip, by the way. I mentioned that because last week I completely forgot that she was even on the show because she wasn't even there. Maybe for like 2 seconds, but yeah, she's also on this trip. So is Monica. Angie K, she goes outside with Whitney. Monica, she goes over to Lisa and Heather, but she tells them, I'm gonna go check on Meredith to see what's going on with her. Whitney, she starts it off with Angie by telling her,
I don't want to, involve you in my issues with Lisa, but has she told you anything that's going on between us?
And I'm like, damn, Whitney, like you really want to be accepted by Lisa so badly, right? Like you just got to this beautiful mansion, and instead of relaxing, you're talking about Lisa? And Angie K, she's like, Well, she did tell me that you two had a miscommunication and that you were upset at her. Meanwhile, we see Heather and Lisa. Heather, she's telling Lisa, oh, I'm so glad that everything was okay with you and Whitney, because Whitney, she did tell me recently that she was making you into a better person, that you're more understanding because of her, that you're more open-minded and more in tune with your feelings and thoughts. Lisa is looking at her like, what the hell are you talking about? And I'm looking at Heather like, Heather, even you don't believe that. Whitney could barely make herself a better person, let alone Lisa Barlow. And if this is Lisa's version of a better person due to Whitney, then obviously Whitney's not doing a good job, because Lisa has been spiraling out of control every single episode this season. So Lisa, she tells Heather, first of all, what are you talking about? No, she never made me into a better person. We never had these conversations like Whitney's making all of this up. I'm not a better person because of her. Like, I'm a better person because of my husband, John, my kids, and God. God was probably watching this episode like, now why am I in it? Like, don't blame me for your behavior this season, Lisa. You're the one having hot mics moments and spiraling out of control every single episode. That's on you. Monica goes into Meredith's room to see how she's feeling, and Meredith is still not doing well. She does not look good. She could barely even have a conversation with Monica, and she tells her, well, I'm not doing well right now. I'm okay. I'm a little bit better, but I'm still not good. And I'm a little bit upset, honestly, with everybody. The fact that everybody was so selfish and didn't give me a bathtub when we clearly established in the Sprinter van that I was going to get a bathtub. And I mean, to her point, Whitney did tell everybody in the Sprinter van when they were on the way to the big ass mansion, hey, by the way, let's give Meredith a tub, because that's what she's known for. That's her whole brand, right? Yet she's the only one that ends up with no bathtub. So I guess I kind of understand it. Am I giving up my room for Meredith? Probably not. So then Monica, she's like, okay, well, just relax and, just continue getting better. She goes outside to join Heather and Lisa. Her and Lisa, they're talking now. She's like, so yeah, Meredith, she's not feeling well. And she was complaining and she was upset at everybody for being selfish. And Lisa, she's like, I'm not giving up my room for her. My room has a view. And I mean, I agree with Lisa. And then Heather, she's like, well, I mean, I could give up my room for Meredith, but I'm not. And then she says that she uses her bathtub for her dirty laundry. Interesting way of living, Heather, but okay. So then they start discussing Monica and her background, and this is her way of connecting with her Portuguese side of the family who lives in Bermuda, which, by the way, I wish that production would have been a little bit messier and would have invited Monica's mom on this trip without anybody knowing. Like, could you imagine they get to the house, they're having a good time, they're drinking, they're getting home. Next thing you know, you see LD, her mom, show up. She's knocking on the door like, Monica, I know it's your birthday weekend. I wanted to come and celebrate with you. Let's do something together. That would have been interesting to watch. And speaking of, where's Mary? Like, isn't Mary technically a friend of the show? Like, why is she not on this trip? Or did she choose not to go? So we see everybody in their rooms. They're getting ready for the first event or first activity, which is a rum tasting. We see Monica in her room. She's on the phone with her daughters. She's showing them the view of her room. And the views are so beautiful to the point where they look fake. Like, the water is so clear, it's so blue, it's just so pretty, right? We see Angie K on the phone with her suspicious husband. He's still acting suspicious. And then we see Lisa Barlow. She's on the phone with John, and she's like, oh my God, John, I love it here. I love everything here, baby gorgeous. Like, the room is so nice. We have a beautiful view. Look at the view. It's so nice, right? It's so chic. Then we head back over to Meredith's room, and she gets a text message from the producer asking her, hey Meredith, how are you feeling? You still need to earn your Bravo check. It's not fair that you're just laying in bed all day while everybody else is working. They didn't say that, but that's what they wanted to ask. Like, Meredith, you need to get up. I'm sorry, but you need to give us some footage. She texts us back like, no, I'm still not feeling well. So they send a paramedic into her room. We get a glimpse of Meredith on the bed, and she is just not looking well. And I'm just thinking, like, what the hell happened from the plane ride from Salt Lake City to Bermuda to put her in this state? So then the paramedic is putting an IV up. He's injecting her in the arm, and, she just does not look good. And, looking at her in this condition, I'm like, oh, maybe I would give up my room with the bathtub for Meredith. Nah. So everyone else reunites by the beach to taste some rum, and they have every single bottle of rum that you can imagine. And if I was them, I would have asked, hey, I'm on vacation. It's my friend's birthday. Do you mind just giving me the whole bottle? Thank you. Go, 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 go. So then Monica, she lets us know that the first time that she tasted alcohol was after she got kicked out of the Mormon church. After that, she started tasting everything. But it's interesting, she waited until after she got kicked out of the Mormon church to taste alcohol, yet she was okay tasting her brother-in-law's dick while she was still in the church. So then Whitney, she comes outside looking like Donald Trump. She was so orange in the face. I'm like, Whitney, what the hell happened? Like, you were outside in the sun earlier with Angie K, but she looked okay. What happened to you? She was matching her dress, which, by the way, her orange dress was really pretty. Her, Heather, Monica, and Angie K, they were dressed really nicely. So they're like, where's Meredith? Where's Meredith? She's still not feeling well. We see her back in her room and she's laying in bed and I'm thinking, okay, she's probably not gonna go out tonight. She's not feeling good. She's probably just gonna get some rest. We see the IV is still attached to her, but then the camera slowly pans up and we see a makeup artist and we see Meredith getting her glam done. Like, I've seen it all with the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City at this point. We've seen Homeland Security show up, somebody getting arrested, somebody scamming the elderly, and now somebody who was barely conscious a second ago getting their glam done with an IV attached to them. On top of that, what killed me was seeing the ring light. Like, the dedication was there, but Meredith, she's barely awake, but the makeup artist, he's like, let me do some touch-ups. And then Meredith, she manages to say something to him, like, by saying, I'm not really sure what's going on with me. I'm not really feeling well, but I do remember that I didn't get a bathtub. So that she remembers. So everybody else, they're all reuniting inside the Sprinter van. Okay, so they're going in the Sprinter van. I'm thinking, okay, they're about to head out. Meredith, are you joining them? Meredith, she comes out the mansion looking completely fine, like nothing ever happened. She walked out like, nope, I still need to get my Bravo check. So she gets in the Sprinter van and off they go, right to this restaurant. So they're sitting in silence. Meredith, I'm not sure what kind of messy IV they put in her, but she wakes everybody up by asking, I just want to ask a question. Here we go. Jonathan, the driver. I'm looking at him like, you need to step on it. You need to step on it because, like, everything's about to go left. Meredith is like, I just want to ask a question. Who in here has a bathtub? So they're all looking at her like, what's going on? And if I was in the van, I would have been like, me. And what are you going to do about it? Like, what's the problem? And they all raise their hands, and Meredith, she's like, well, it's not fair that, you all promised me, and you all saw how I was earlier. I wasn't feeling good, and the least you could have done is at least offer me your room with a bathtub. And I mean, she does sound entitled. I mean, it's just a bathtub. Who's really using it besides Whitney? We see in a flashback. She was in the bathtub for a second, but I mean, who's using a bathtub, right? Like, just give it to Meredith, but at the same time, the way you're coming off entitled, I'm not giving you shit. So then Lisa, she was just like, we all have bathtubs, but who was supposed to give you their room? So Meredith was just like, well, it's not about anybody giving me the room. It's just about, all of you promised me and all of you saw that I wasn't feeling good. That's the least you could have done. So then Angie K, yes, Angie K, she's still on this trip. Don't worry. She speaks up and she's like, you did make some nasty comments earlier when we were looking at the house to Heather. And I'm like, who's that? Oh, that's Angie. I thought there was a ghost in the Sprinter van. I'm like, who is speaking? But Meredith, this is when both of them clash. I'm like, Angie, okay. So then Meredith is just like, first of all, the comment that I made earlier was just something that you said to me 2 months ago. The comment was when they were looking around at the house, they were looking at the rooms, and then I believe Heather, she wanted a room with the bathtub, and then Meredith poked fun at her by telling her, oh, so what, you're gonna bring back people to your room and lay on your back and spread your legs? And I'm like, well, damn, Meredith. Meredith usually doesn't joke around like that, but she was mimicking what Angie K has said about her. And then Angie K, she brings in this whole, oh, you threatened my family thing again. I'm like, we went from talking about bathtubs to back to your family. And she's like, you threatened my family and you said some pretty nasty things about me and my family that you were going to ruin us. And Meredith, this is how I know that things are going completely left, because Meredith is the only person that I've seen in the Housewives universe that could argue with you, but her head could be at like an angle. She's like, hold on, let me adjust. First of all, Angie, I could never ruin your family. If I wanted to, I could. I'm pretty sure everybody in this van could ruin each other if we wanted to, but I never said that. You need to stop, and I'm sorry, okay? Fine, whatever. I'm like, that's so interesting how she argues like that. I'm like, you're gonna catch a cramp. Like, fix your head posture. Monica, she's just sitting there because for once the drama's not about her. She's sitting there like, and then she takes out her phone and she's like, but Meredith, surprisingly, I bet you that producers probably told her, okay, you need to stop avoiding Angie K if you want a snowflake for the next season. Because surprisingly, she tells Angie K, so Angie K, if you have such an issue with me, maybe we could sit down on a one-on-one basis, like just me and you. And I'm like, oh, okay, Meredith, it took what? 13 episodes, but we're getting progress. Meanwhile, I'm looking at Jonathan. He's driving. He looks so stressed, just like. So they get to the restaurant and Angie asks them, so is everything okay now? And Meredith is like, yeah, everything is okay. I was just asking a question. I just wanted my bathtub. That's it. That was that. But then Whitney, she takes it upon herself to express her feelings and her love, her strange love to Lisa. She's like,
well, Lisa Barlow, I just want to talk to you because, with my time in need and my friend passing, I feel like at Meredith's event, you were treating me really badly. I wanted you to love me, Lisa, as a friend. I wanted you to love me and hold me.
And I'm like, oh, what in the Meredith from Grey's Anatomy is going on here? Love me, choose me, pick me. Like, Whitney sounded so pathetic. Like, I kind of understood what she was going at, but the way you're basically begging her to care for you is pretty sad. And I do agree with Lisa to some extent, because Lisa was like, well, I just feel like she wants somebody to take out her grief on instead of me being there for her grief. And I mean, I kind of agree with Lisa, but at the same time, Lisa, you are self-absorbed, you are self-centered, so you do make everything about you, so I don't know, but then again, she does make another good point. Everybody handles grief differently. And just because she didn't give you, the hugs right away or whatever, I don't know. It's just the sticky situation with both of them. And then Lisa, she was like, well, you know what? Since we're talking about it, let's talk about Heather and how you said that I'm becoming this amazing person now because of you. What is that about? So Heather gets dragged into the mess. And Heather was like, well, I mean, Whitney, you did tell me that you did hang out with Lisa the other day. And all of a sudden you have this new profound love for Lisa. And I just don't understand it. And at this point, it just feels like the two cousins are fighting to see who loves Lisa the most. Like, Heather can't stand that Whitney and Lisa are closer. And Whitney can't even imagine anybody on the show being closer to Lisa than she is. And it's just coming off creepy, right? Like, Lisa is cool for the show, but damn, like, relax. How about Meredith? Let's fight over that friendship. So Whitney, she tells Heather,
first of all, Heather, why are you meddling in my situation with Lisa? It's kind of like you want to destroy our friendship together. Like, are you jealous or something?
And I'm like, wow, both of you are really fighting over Lisa's love. And what's crazy is that Lisa is going to choose Lisa over both of them. So then Heather was like, what are you talking about? No, I'm not doing all of that. Nor do I care about your friendship. You said that Lisa was self-absorbed. She keeps talking shit about Lisa and Lisa's right next to her. I like how she was like, yeah, you keep saying that she's full of herself, yet now all of a sudden you two have this new profound friendship. Where did that came from? And then in the confessional, she says it perfectly. Whitney wants to be a part of this whole Lisa cult, and that's exactly what it is. Finally, we call it what it is. It's a Lisa cult. They want to be up Lisa's ass so badly, and I just do not understand why. Whitney finally has enough of Heather, and she tells her,
you know what, Heather, shut the fuck up.
And I'm like, ooh. I'm like, finally somebody said it, because Heather, you've been pushing it these last couple of episodes. And Heather, she loses it and she turns into Godzilla. She tells, Whitney, did you just tell me to shut the fuck up? Don't you ever tell me to shut the fuck up. Whitney was just like, I just did. I'm like, wow, Whitney, you're feeling bold. And we remember last season where she body slammed you against the window. And Lisa, again, instead of defending either one of them, she's just sitting there relaxing. Monica, the food must have been so good because Monica, her head is just spinning to side, like, but she's also eating at the same time, like, it's like a movie and a show. Meanwhile, Meredith, she tells Angie, who's sitting right across from her, Lisa's not us, right, Angie? And I'm like, oh, that's a cute moment because Angie, she picks up her glass and she's like, yeah, I'm so glad that it's not us. Maybe we should cheers. And they cheers. I thought that was so cute. I'm like, oh, look at them finally coming around each other. They're like, cheers to the girls' weekend. I thought that was cute. Hopefully there's some type of future between them. Probably not, but it was cute for now. And then Heather was just like, well, you could have told me to shut the fuck up nicer. Is there a nicer way to tell somebody that? Because, I mean, okay. So then eventually that didn't go anywhere because then it started thunderstorming. It started raining, so you know that was a sign to go. Nothing went nowhere between both of them. And again, at the end of the day, Lisa is going to choose Lisa over both of you. So as they're in the van, we see Whitney. She's in the back seat. She is knocked out. She is just like mouth wide open, like just drool coming down her orange face, like. And it was a good nap too. It was a good sleep. You know, it was one of those sleeps that you have after a juicy argument. And then you know that you won too. Like, you know that you put somebody in their place and then you just go into your bedroom like, yeah, I told that bitch. They get back into the house and they're discussing who would win in a fight between Heather or Whitney. Angie says that her money is on Heather. Whitney, she thinks otherwise. And she's like, Heather, no, I can take her. She's nothing. And that's pretty bold of her to say when we just got a glimpse of what that would look like last season. When you got in her face and she flung you against the wall like it was nothing. And I can already picture Whitney trying to fight anybody on the show like,
okay, bring it on, Heather. I want to fight. Ow, hold on, Heather, hold on. I need to heal. You hit me in my forehead.
So my money is on Heather. Whitney, good luck. But eventually everybody goes upstairs to go to sleep except Monica and Meredith. Meredith, I see her opening up a wine bottle and I'm like, you just had an IV in your arm not too long ago. You were not feeling well and now you're proceeding to drink wine. Okay, so she sits down with Monica, who's eating. Monica lets us know that her and Meredith were hanging out and having lunch on Main Street in Salt Lake City, which led to a discussion about the Greek Mafia supposedly running that street, which led to another discussion about Angie K possibly being a part of the Greek Mafia. I also want to add in how Angie K is one of the best housewives in all of the Housewives history. She deserves Center Snowflake for next season, and she is my favorite off this show. And what did I say earlier? At this point, I've seen it all with the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I mean, let's see. We've seen Homeland Security. We've seen somebody go to jail, scamming elderly people out of their money, somebody getting glam done while an IV was in their arm, and now somebody possibly being a part of the Greek Mafia. Like, that is crazy. So after that, Meredith, she called Monica and she said, oh, well, remember that conversation that we had earlier? I actually got a couple of strange DMs about Angie and Sean and their business. Did you also get those DMs? Monica did get them, and it was messages about Angie and Sean's business being shady. So now that Monica is trying to discuss this with Meredith, Meredith is pretending as if she has no clue what she's talking about. She's playing dumb. She's looking at her like, messages? What about it? So Monica, she was like, well, I actually got more messages about, what we discussed. Meredith, again, continuing, she was like, okay, so what did it say? And I'm like, wow, Meredith, wow. According if what Monica is saying is true, I'm just looking at Meredith like, wow, you really put the battery in Monica's back to try to expose Angie K. That way your hands could be squeaky clean. So Monica, she was like, well, I actually got more DMs with, documents and bank statements and stuff about Angie K's business, and it's not looking good. So Meredith, she's just looking at her in awkward silence like, karma comes back. I'm like, wow, Meredith, wow. And at the same time, Monica, this is the second time that somebody's playing you on the show, because first it was Whitney a couple of episodes ago when she put the battery in your back to go up to Angie K and try to expose her husband. And now Meredith is doing the same thing to you, allegedly, if your story is good, and now you're allowing it again, like. And Meredith, wow, what a dirty move, especially when you know what she's talking about. And now you're like, oh, I don't check my Instagram messages like that, when clearly you're the one that brought this whole conversation to Monica in the first place. Yeah, this whole situation is gonna get ugly, because now you're accusing Angie K's business of being shady. You're also accusing her of being a part of the Greek Mafia. On top of that, we're still waiting on that phone call that Heather gets at some point on this trip that we saw in the first episode this season. So, yeah, I'm scared. And this reunion is about to be a hot mess. But until then, let me know what you all thought about this whole entire episode in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.